We went to Pennsylvania to find out what voters in the state that helped deliver Biden the presidency think about him now. You voted for Biden.
I did.
He announced this week. What was your reaction?
Regret, disappointment, frustration.
That disappointment and frustration was expressed again and again by young voters we talked to.
I would say that he's way too old and very unfit to be president.
What do you like about Joe Biden?
Do you think they should not be doing?
I think that the President of the United States shouldn't be saying Facebook is killing people, because that's nonsense on toast. I think that the Surgeon General of the United States shouldn't be out there calling for a whole of society, not even whole of government, a whole of society crackdown on misinformation, which he then fails to define. I think that Jen Psaki, as White House press secretary, shouldn't be telling Spotify that you got to do more about Joe Rogan here. That's crazy. 20 years ago, after 9/11, we all remember this, right? When Ari Fleischer came on, he took so much heat from CNN, from a lot of people here probably, from me definitely, when he said that in the wake of 9/11, Americans need to watch what they say. That's all he said. There wasn't anything, backed up. There wasn't regulation. Americans that he was talking about didn't have business in front of the government, the federal government. He said that he took a ton of heat because we understood we don't want the government to be telling us that. Now we have the government telling social media companies, you need to kick Alex Berenson off Twitter. That's bad. They're using national security to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story, which wasn't a national security story. That's bad. So the outrage for me is not this ruling. It's weird. It's 45 pages. The outrage is in the government's behavior, especially in the year 2021.
This was stunning yesterday. I know talking to Biden administration officials, they were very surprised, particularly by the scale of the ruling and what it actually means. What more do we know?
It essentially is banning key government agencies, including the Department of Health and Human Services, the FBI, the Justice Department, the CDC, and about 12 key administration officials, including the White House press secretary and the U.S. Surgeon General, from communicating with social media companies, which include Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Google, Instagram, over concerns that this judge has about the communications that they've had related to the pandemic. Now, this goes back to a 2022 lawsuit that was filed by two state attorneys generals from Missouri and from Louisiana, who say that the Biden administration overstepped in their communication to these social media companies, specifically around key issues like election integrity, vaccine misinformation, and security of voting by mail. Now, this judge is essentially saying that there is enough evidence to say that there is concern about the communications. The White House, on the other hand, saying that they believe that they acted in the best interest of the country. They believe that it is the responsibility of these social media companies to police their own content online. But ultimately, the social media companies need to make their own independent decisions about that content. Now,
there have been many developments in the House investigations into the First Family's international business dealings. Recently, there's one committee trying to get an FBI file alleging that President Biden took bribes. There's another IRS whistleblower who's alleging there's a cover-up in the investigation. Amid all of this, there was a Harvard-Harris poll this month that found that 53% of the public, including a fourth of Democrats, believe, quote, Joe Biden was involved with his son in an illegal influence peddling scheme. There's, of course, evidence that the president interacted with his relatives, associates from China, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine. So what do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt?
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Kelly, the big change is where this was found. And it was found, by my observation, in a much more secure place, limited access place than that West Wing reception area. It's still a frequently trafficked place, but it's down near the Situation Room, right off West Executive, down below. And normal people, average people just can't get in there, even with the entry from the Northwest Gate.
Well, let me bring you up to date with the reporting that I have. What we have learned is that there are, in fact, 2 West Wing entrances. You know that, I know that, but for the benefit of our audience. And now the investigation has progressed, and so they're saying the West Executive entrance, which, as you noted, is closer to the Situation Room and closer to the Navy mess, where there's the facilities for food and so forth. It is also next to West Executive Drive. That's where, for example, the vice president's vehicle is parked.
If I were your daughter, what advice would you give me the next time I am stopped by the police?
If you were my daughter, you'd be a Caucasian girl and you wouldn't be pulled over.
Okay, let me know if I missed a step. Hillary Clinton paid Perkins Coie, who played Fusion GPS, who paid Christopher Steele, who paid some phony Russians to obtain a phony dossier that the FBI then used to ruin an entire presidency and overturn a presidential election. But if we questioned it, we were the ones called Russian bots. Then the election rolls around and the Hunter Biden laptop story breaks, and that same freaking phony FBI calls it Russia disinformation when it turns out to be true. But if we questioned it or talked about it, they had already coordinated with social media companies to silence us again. And once again, we were called Russian bots. And then actual election night rolls around and pipes burst and millions of votes just come in the middle of the night for Biden. But if we questioned it, we lost our social media accounts. And now today it comes out that in the Durham report that the original hoax, the entire upper echelons of government knew. Obama knew, Joe Biden knew. But once again, if we say anything, we're called Russian bots. Oh, and absolutely nothing's going to happen. And also today, the Biden DOJ removed the entire investigative team at the IRS from the Hunter Biden laptop case. We're living in a clown world. Nobody is going to be held accountable.
This is the world we live in now. Check this out. Federal judge rules Biden administration acted like Orwellian Ministry of Truth using big tech to censor Americans. The evidence produced thus far depicts an almost dystopian scenario. A federal judge ruled Tuesday that the Biden administration acted like an Orwellian Ministry of Truth by working in conjunction with big tech platforms. So how did the Biden administration react? Like this. The Biden administration appeals federal court ruling that shut down its censorship operation. They're appealing the fact that they can't censor us and shut us down. They want full fucking control of what comes out of your mouth and my mouth and anybody else that wants to speak the truth. I guess they really do want to fuck around and find out.
I don't care what else is going on the planet. I don't care if there are aliens landing. I don't care if there's a war. I don't care if there's a new disease. I don't give two shits. What I care about is the most important thing happening in this country right now, and that is that a federal judge has told the federal government they can't censor us, and the federal government, in particular, the Biden administration, is appealing that. They, as the government, believe that they have the right to silence your voices because they don't agree with what you're saying. Or with what you're saying, well, it'll get them in trouble, expose their lies and their corruption. No, they can't have that. That's the most dangerous thing that's happening in this country. Not 8-foot things out in Nevada, not the wildfires of Canada. Your government is going to court for the right to censor you. Wake the fuck up.
If you told me to do an impression of Biden, I go, I don't know what he sounds like. But then when you hear someone do it, you go, that's it.
Yeah, there's young people online that do some amazing. But Biden was just, kind of initially as my father lost his job.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No joke. No joke. No one thinks it's a joke. Not getting around here. Come on, like the founding fathers proclaimed in the Declaration of Independence. The people, all men are created equally. Excuse me, created pirates of the Caribbean.
Elise Stefanik, she said that the FBI's inaction on the Hunter Biden laptop and the FBI's meddling with Twitter, which we now all know about because of the hearings the other day, with the suppression of the New York Post's story about the Hunter Biden laptop, had a direct and measurable effect on the 2020 election. And Elise Stefanik brought the proof.
According to polling, of the people that were made aware of the Hunter Biden laptop story, 53% would have changed their vote, including 61% of Democrats. This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats, paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. It's collusion, it's corruption, and it's unconstitutional.
It'd be funny if it weren't so serious that Joe Biden got caught doing exactly the same thing that he attacked Donald Trump for, even though it's likely in many ways what Joe Biden and the Biden Center have been caught doing is even worse than what they've accused President Trump of. Don't forget, by the way, that the Biden Center was funded by, I think, $60 million from the Chinese Communist Party, and they had all of these classified documents about national security-related issues, Ukraine, a lot of other issues at the Biden Center. We still don't know what the documents at Mar-a-Lago were, but we do know that these were serious documents. And never forget, by the way, President of the United States has the power to declassify classified documents, not the Vice President. So it's likely that President Biden did break the law and in a very serious nature, and we should investigate it.
I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response.
Over these last 18 months, Democrats have delivered. Let me rephrase that. Over these last 18 months, Democrats have delivered big time.
Don't laugh. That was the highlight. That was the high point of the speech. And boy, haven't the Democrats delivered big time. Biggest gas prices, big inflation, more than 2 million illegal immigrants crossing the southern border. That's big. And don't forget the dramatic increase in violent crime in Democrat-run cities. How about that? How about that?
And I was wondering if anyone in the Biden administration was in touch with Baker, either regarding moderation decisions that critics call political censorship or regarding his transparency efforts recently.
So it's up to private companies to make these types of decisions. We were not involved.
We are in regular touch with these social media platforms, and those engagements typically happen through members of our senior staff. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook that spread this.
Having classified documents from when he was vice president. I'm like, okay, yeah, technically that was hypocritical, but how about the fact that he laundered money through Ukraine, through Metabiota, right? In order to line his own pockets using DoD contracts? Or how about the fact that he basically blackmailed Ukraine into firing the prosecutor that was looking into Burisma? Or how about the fact that he took inappropriate showers with his daughter in her own handwriting in his diary? Or how about the fact that he knew his son was sexually abusing his other relative underage and he covered it up, right, against Delaware law? And you could just name all the other things that he's done that have been absolutely corrupt. And it's like, but you're talking about the documents that he had? I mean, like, the worst part about the fact that he had these documents in his garage is you're not supposed to have flammable objects next to a meth lab. Right. We get distracted with these small hypocrisies when the greater crimes just go totally unnoticed. It's like the guy should have been in jail 10, 15 years.
The people who own the news channels decided it was better if Trump wasn't in the White House. They thought, you know what? He doesn't listen to us, and I think I know best, And I want a president who's senile and will sign anything we give him. So let's get rid of Trump. Let's get Sleepy Joe. And let's do whatever it takes to put our guy there. So when I give him a page of legislation, 50 pages long, he doesn't even read it. He just signs it. Trump, he read it. Can't stand that guy. I ain't got time for him. I'm trying to save the world. I'm a good person. I know what's best. My family's been in charge forever. I know what the good things for the world are. And that's all that's really happening. People are really trying to force their worldviews, and these people have huge influence.
Do you think that it's just the media, or do you think it's technology companies?
I think it's everything.
But how can it be everything?
Because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. These people have so much control, so much power. They decide truth at this point. It's not about truth is subjective. True, false doesn't exist, right? If everyone in the world were to simultaneously agree that 2 + 2 = 5, then 2 + 2 now equals 5. It doesn't matter if math doesn't work anymore. The whole world believes 2 + 2 = 5. That's now true. If they control what people see and control how people think, then they control what's true and what's false. Trump is racist because they said he's racist. He hasn't done anything racist, but they said he's racist to the point where Trump's now a racist. That's now true. These people now can literally bend reality in real time.
He's lying because they know they got caught red-handed. They don't acknowledge it with contracts because it looks terrible. It's highly unethical. And they really can't defend it. Look, here's what people need to understand. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, on his way out the door, he, his brother, his son were going all across the globe, a lot to China, trying to find ways to create, in my opinion, this business venture called Biden Inc. And what is this business venture? It's all about influence peddling. He leaves office, and then $1 million shows up in their bank accounts through all the different members of the family. We all know what this is, America. These are handouts to the Biden family because of influence peddling. Fast forward to now, he's president of the United States. The American people should understand how much money has gone to his family from foreign entities. And if that is impacting his decision making as commander in chief, the American people have a right to know.
75% of voters say the country is heading into the wrong direction. Despite the results of last night, what in the next 2 years do you intend to do differently to change people's opinion of the direction of the country, particularly as you contemplate a run for president in 2024?
Nothing.
The former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States.
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power by, if he does run, making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again.
Mr. President, as you know, last Tuesday, the annual inflation rate came in at 8.3%. The stock market nosedived. People are shocked by their grocery bills. What can you do better and faster?
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. Inflation rate month to month was just an inch. Hardly at all.
You're not arguing that 8.3 is good news.
No, I'm not saying it's good news, but it was 8.2 or 8.2 before. I mean, it's not. I can make it sound like all of a sudden, my God, it went to 8.2%. It's
the highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years.
I got that, but guess what we are? We're in a position where, for the last several months, it hasn't spiked. It is just barely. It's been basically.
Here's one member explaining his intention to vote no on raising the debt ceiling because this massive accumulation of debt was predicted, because it was foreseeable, because it was unnecessary.
So I don't know who that lawmaker is.
Well, let me tell you. It was President Joe Biden.
Oh, okay.
Back in 2006.
So, look.
Got him! Got him!
So, for all those Republicans in Congress criticizing me today for high gas prices in America, are you now saying we were wrong to support Ukraine? Are you saying we were wrong to stand up to Putin? Are you saying that we would rather have lower gas prices in America and Putin's iron fist in Europe?
Yeah. Super yeah. We get cheaper gas? Yeah. Why would you even ask that question? Was this an option the whole time? I'm going yeah. I'm saying yeah. My vote is yeah. Yes.
And by the way, I want to warn you. There are two types. The medals are beautiful. The ribbons are hung on. One doesn't separate. So any woman who I'm giving the one medal to, please don't get angry with me if I mess up your hair.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know that anybody at the FBI or Department of Justice thinks they're going to make their career by charging the president's son, so I can't say I'm too optimistic about their work. But recently in Congress, we discovered those payments that go through pass-throughs but that send Chinese cash into the bank accounts of the Biden family. It is our belief in Congress that the first family is compromised by the Chinese Communist Party payments that they received. We're going to further evidence those payments. I'm particularly proud of the work of Chairman Jamie Comer in the House Oversight Committee, and we may be seeing Hunter Biden before that committee giving testimony very soon.
Called on the prescription drug companies to bring down the price of insulin to $35 to everyone, not just seniors. And today, Eli Lilly, the largest manufacturer of insulin in the United States of America, agreed to do just that. $35.
For hundreds and thousands of seniors enrolled in Medicare, that's a big deal. Participating plans will cap cost at just $35 a month per type of insulin, and some plans may offer it free. The press won't even cover it, but they'll cover things that are unimportant.
Black people are going to save America from Joe Biden.
Think so? Okay.
We got tricked. He's weakened at Bernie's, bro. So black people is like, yo, champ, we might need Donnie back in there. I'm hearing the...
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
How do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. Wow. I'd be fine with that.
I'm told gay marriage, a flag amendment, and God only knows what else. I can't believe the American people can't see through this. We already have a law, the Defense of Marriage Act. We've all voted, or I voted, and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Nobody's violated that law. There's been no challenge to that law. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
For me, the easiest scandal to follow was the Trump document scandal. That was the one that was easy to follow. It was simple. It's some stuff that's supposed to be in the White House that ain't. And the media, y'all did y'all's job. Y'all jumped on that story. As soon as the Trump document story broke, everybody was down at Mar-a-Lago. We're reporting live from the documents, and we're gonna find them. And then we found out Joe Biden had documents too, and it was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Everybody got documents. Everybody got documents. Mike Pence had some documents. Who care about it? Ooh, look, a Chinese spy balloon. Would you look at that? Ooh. Well done, media.
How would you say your mental focus is?
Oh, it's focused. I haven't, look, I have trouble even saying to myself my own head the number of years. I no more think of myself as being as old as I am than fly.
We are closer to a risk of World War III and nuclear war than we've ever been in my life. And for what? For what? To make sure that the Donbass region is ruled by Kiev rather than Moscow? Like, is that really worth it? Jesus Christ.
About how you intend on getting the union vote when there's a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns. You're full of
All right, thank you guys.
Shush. You're not allowed to own any weapons. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were with Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video. Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Hey, let's
you went
get
up
tell
there
me
to
there's a lot of guys.
You're
wanted.
man.
I'm not worried. Hold on. Give me a break, man. Don't be such a
You're
worried
switching
guy.
up on me.
Hey, there's a lot of.
It's like all the money's gone and a collapse is imminent. But we have to stay calm and think of ways to prevent a bank run so we can get ours. Let's ensure that all banks are flocking, talking with each other and sharing information in real time using the back channels we set up in October. And let's use the full force of the media to calm the public and to assure them that their deposits are safe. We may not be able to prevent a collapse, but if we work together, we can limit the fallout for us and preserve the continuity of government.
This bus, they have dozens, if not hundreds of these buses all throughout El Paso, all throughout Texas, taking illegal immigrants everywhere. And it's more important to protect the illegal immigrants and drive this bus through a ravine across the border so they can get them on without the American media seeing them. And this bus is going to take them somewhere deep in the heart of Texas, drop them off. But Border Patrol tells us the border's secure, nobody's crossing, nobody's coming in illegally as it happens right in front of our face.
Move back. Move back. Move back. Thank you. Yeah, get out of the way, Americans. There's illegals coming in. Get out of the way, dirty Americans. We got non-citizens we got to help. You dirty, stinking Americans. This isn't your country. Get out of the way. I'm so glad that we're making sure that the media can't see Biden's border invasion. They drive 30-foot buses through ravines so the media can't see Biden's border invasion. And they send border agents out here telling us it's not happening. That's the line. I want you to go over there. Okay. Control, they can block our cameras too. Yeah, make sure we can't see it. Very nice. Make sure nobody can see Biden's border invasion. Make sure nobody can see the illegal immigrants. You dirty. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Fucking president is sniffing children's hair. How is that not our new national anthem? It's just him sniffing hair to a fucking trap beat, dude.
That poor, did you see him just give up on his speech the other day? That motherfucker said, anyway, he forgot the word. He forgot what he was talking about. He just said, anyway.
Dude, damn.
What do you think is Joe Biden's strongest feature as a competitor in politics?
Well, I would have said experience, but he doesn't really have experience because I don't think he remembers what he did yesterday. So how is that experience? He's been there a long time. He was never known as a smart person.
Pick one good thing. Okay, what is his weakest point?
I can't tell you. I mean, I'm really serious. He's got many. I could talk about weak points all day long. First of all, he's not mentally sharp enough to be president. Biden doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't know he's alive.
I get rid of you, which I'm enjoying you so much today. I really am.
I'm enjoying you too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But a little bird told me that you said you might be resigning the job this year. Say it isn't so. Is it true?
I don't know when I'm leaving. This is an honor and a privilege, and I love working for President Biden every single day.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, President Biden. Whoa!
If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with it.
And I also want to thank my buddy Kamala, who I work for up in the White House, for leading on this issue. I also want to thank my buddy Kamala, who I work for in the...
So many issues here. You've mentioned a couple of them. There are many, many more. We could go down the list of his indefensible record that he's had as president. One of the things, though, is that the American people need to be able to examine these issues. What's the traditional way that we normally do that? Through a debate, right? Well, the DNC just announced we're not going to have any presidential primary debates. And so, you know, for me as a presidential candidate back in 2020, they were rigging the system back then. They were just more subtle about it, tossing softball questions to Kamala Harris and giving people more time. But now they are so arrogant and so disrespectful to the American people and voters. They're just saying, nope, we're not going to allow any debates. We're not going to put his record in front of the American people. We're not going to give people any choice other than Joe Biden. And so my appeal to Democrats and to American voters, if people are thinking about voting for President Biden, they really need to ask themselves if they want to support a candidate that has so much disdain and disrespect for the American people.
Isn't it true that leading up to the 2020 election, Twitter had weekly meetings with not just the FBI, with DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate? We know that because of the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
Wow. And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that correct?
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
Isn't it true, according to the Twitter files, that there were so many FBI officials who then went to work at Twitter that created their own Slack channel and crib sheet for onboarding? The Twitter files confirm that, correct?
Correct.
This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats, paid for by the U.S. tax.
I try to call the balls and strikes regardless of whether or not you have an R or a D by your name. I've been accused, all of us have been, over this particular issue that we're conspiracy theorists. We're not. What we're proving to you today is showing you actual bank records, actual evidence of shell companies and businesses. There are more businesses and more Bidens involved than we knew of. You have to issue more subpoenas because every time we turn over a rock, there's more information, there's more possible corruption, there's more allegations that need to be investigated. This is what we know today. Money flowed from the Chinese Communist Party, aligned with individuals into American shell companies, and then that money was wired and transferred to Biden family members. This could be the most corrupt scheme in American politics, where a sitting vice president, where we saw members of his family, 9 members so far, there may be more, that were enriched from countries all over the world. And we're providing more information about Romania today. We know about China. We know that the president denied this during an election in 2020, continues to deny it to this day. And we want everyone held accountable if they have violated their oath of office. We shouldn't have folks that are in office that are betraying their oath of office. We shouldn't have people in office that are betraying their country. If they're paying loads of cash to their family members from adversaries of ours around the world, it's wrong, whether you have a Republican or a Democrat by your name.
This is the worst graduation of my life. This is a campaign speech. A campaign speech. You got this white man here, Howard. What is going on? I would have given a better speech. I did give a better speech at my high school graduation. My high school graduation was a lot better than this bullshit. I'm really disappointed. Howard, you disappointed us.
Thing in that black box. An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
My son was a major, U.S. Army. Lost him in Iraq. Service Medal, Bronze Star, like you all about country. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a damn lie, and you know it.
We can afford to do this this is a big country. The idea we can accommodate more people in the interest of the United States, and by the way, guess what? They're the reason why. The legal as well as undocumented are the reason why our society is functioning. The reason why our economy is growing. We don't talk about that. we stand up and act like it's a burden. It is not a burden. It's a gift.
After hearing that, you should ask yourself, he said it's a gift. And here's what's happening. You flood the border with millions and millions of immigrants. You fight, Democrats are fighting for people to vote with no ID. That way, if the popular vote sways Republican, you've got millions upon millions of loyal Democratic voters out of fear that if the Republicans win, they'll get sent back to their country. If the Democrats win, they're going to be taken care of. A gift. How is that a gift to anybody? But really listen to what it is they're saying and think.
Looking at your child, you know the needs of an innocent to live, and not having the money to pay for it. Not a joke. Think about it. Think about what you'd think about at the time. Think about how you'd feel. It's wrong. It's not who we are, and we're going to fix that too.
Let me simplify this for you. This is an organized criminal enterprise.
The Gaudis.
I've done this for 30 years, okay? This is how they do it. What you've got is the hallmarks of corruption, the accounts, the LLCs, the evasion, and the money laundering. The partners come in, collect the foreign money, and then distribute it to an LLC in incremental amounts. Joe Biden is the front man. Hunter Biden is the bag man. Okay? Joe Biden goes into foreign countries lecturing them about anti-corruption, and he is representing the freest, greatest nation on earth and is wrapping himself in the flag of the United States while his son is collecting the money at the back door. This happened in Romania. And this happened in the Ukraine. Joe Biden uses his position as a vice president of the United States to tell the Ukraine to get the prosecutor off the company where Hunter is a member and making $80,000 a month, or he's going to withhold our taxpayer money $1 million. All right? This is an point man in energy and a point man on anti-corruption, and his son is right behind him with the bags. Now, let's talk about...
You know what happens to the president when he doesn't know the question ahead of time?
What was the last country you've traveled to?
The last country I've traveled, I'm thinking what's the last one I was in. I've been to 89, I met with 89 heads of state so far. So I'm trying to think, where was the last place I was? It's hard to keep track. Yeah, you're right, Ireland. That's where it was. How'd you know that?
He was in Ireland last week. The president of the United States couldn't remember the country he was in last week.
And these Republicans, they're going to say that Joe Biden refused to sit down with them. That's a fake narrative.
What's the plan here?
He never came to the table to negotiate on the debt ceiling. That was not something that occurred. That is not something that's happening. We've been very clear. We're not negotiating around the debt ceiling.
I'm going to tell it to you straight. I'm going to tell you the truth. Our darkest days are ahead of us, not behind us. And now's the time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
This will be the time because you really need world order, financial world order.
This alternative vision argues that ordinary men and women are too small-minded to govern their own affairs. That order and progress can only come when individuals surrender their rights to an all-powerful sovereign.
We are here to develop the great narrative, a story for the future. But in order to shape the future, you have first to imagine the future, you have to design the future, and then you have to execute.
cabinet is majority people of color for the first time in history. The cabinet is majority female for the first time in history. A majority of White House senior staff identify as female. 40% of White House senior staff identify as part of the racially diverse communities. And a record 7 assistants to the president are openly LGBTQ+. So again, this is something that the president prides himself on.
President, you said at the beginning that the debt ceiling was not negotiable. Isn't that what you've just done here? And isn't that what
You guys, look, we're not negotiating the debt ceiling. Here's the deal. They passed the debt ceiling, and they said they'd only do it on condition that it have all these cuts in it. I said, I'm not going to do that. You pass the debt ceiling, period. I'll negotiate with you on the cuts. What you say, what's going to happen, what the budget's going to look like. That's what we are negotiating in order to get to them deciding that they're going to go along with a new debt ceiling, meaning that it's not attached. It's something totally different attached than was attached before. So if you want to try to make it look like I made some compromise on the debt ceiling, I didn't. I made a compromise on the budget.
That's what they wanted, is you to make a compromise on the budget, and that's what you've done, even though you haven't gone as far as they wanted. Isn't that right?
Sure, yeah. Well, can you think of an alternative?
The town of Rolling Stone will be back, and we'll be with you every step of the way. And what did I say? I said Rolling Fork, Rolling Stone. I got my mind going here.
He's at the Air Force Academy. He actually fell down. Well, I hope he wasn't hurt. I hope he wasn't hurt. But the whole thing is crazy. You got to be careful about that. You got to be careful about that because you don't want that. Even if you have to tiptoe down a ramp, you got to tiptoe.
All right, Joe, let's see if you can even get to the damn mark this time. Remember, like we practice, walk around, go up and say hi to the general, and then get behind the podium. Yep, up the stairs, careful, careful. You know how you are with stairs. Yeah, okay, that podium, yes. Walk forward, say hi to the general, and stop. And stop. Where are you going? Not that general. Oh my God. Joe, go back to the podium. Joe, oh my God, this is so awkward. These poor cadets. Joe, to the podium. Could you, yeah, thank you. Direct him to the podium, please. Come on. There you go, old man. Get up there. No, the podium, you idiot! Where are you going? Oh, God. You know, I hope something happens to you later.
A few moments later.
All right, go ahead and walk off the stage now, Joe. Whoa, whoa, whoa! What happened? Did someone push you? Invisible stairs? Where? There's nothing there.
Fuck Joe Biden. Damn right. Fucking prick. Fuck Joe Biden. Damn.
And by the way, talking inflation, the overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great, you know. Am I taking blame for inflation? No.
Why not?
Because it was already there when I got here, man. Remember what the economy was like when I got here?
Wow. That is hard to watch.
Yeah. And all it took was a slight decline to make him look foolish.
25th Amendment in Section 4 says that the Vice President in the Cabinet or the Vice President in a body set up by Congress can determine that there's presidential incapacity for reasons physical or mental.
He drinks water or any glass with two hands.
But as Sanjay also says, there are a lot of questions around the president's physical fitness, him having trouble lifting a water glass to his mouth. He had to use his left hand to basically finish helping his right arm guide it to his mouth.
I talked to a bunch of neurologists over the weekend. A lot of people talking about this.
Trump is not known for being athletic. has a hard time going down a gently sloping ramp.
Chocolate chip.
At the audio of Donald Trump talking about the classified documents he's not supposed to have. Here, check it out.
Want Trump to get in the position where he thinks he's about to buy onto a policy where the financial system is going to collapse and he's going to be looked to pour more money into Ukraine. That's how he'll think about it before he gets sophisticated enough to know the detail.
In other words, Biden does not want Ukraine asking for more money from Trump.
If it is true that FBI working with him, at least I want to know that.
No, they are not. I told you the FBI concluded he had nothing and they stopped. That was it. There's no reason to talk to him again.
Okay.
It's like, that's actually Joe Biden talking with one of his co-conspirators about how he doesn't want Donald Trump to find out about his bribe money that he's getting from Ukraine. And the second one is Biden talking to the former president of Ukraine about how the former president of Ukraine is concerned that one of his aides is cooperating with the FBI. And Joe Biden assures him, don't worry, the FBI, they're in on it. Don't worry about that. It's amazing how everything that they accuse Donald Trump of doing, they do themselves. Remember, the United States is not a democracy or a constitutional republic. It's an elected monarchy. Keep your mind sharp. Don't listen to media. This Script podcast out.
Based on what they've seen, I think these are very different.
Oh, no. Not feel. No. It's not feel. Understand this. It is not feel. That is a fact. Hillary Clinton's documents, her emails were subpoenaed.
So tell me, based on this indictment here. They were subpoenaed
by the Oversight Committee. She destroyed them. Joe Biden took classified material as a United States senator. I'm a United States congressman. I am not allowed to remove classified documents. He took them as a United States senator. They were all over the place. That is a violation, actually, of the Espionage Act. And so there's been no talk, no dissemination, no investigation of any of those things.
So here's what I don't understand, though.
Moves at warp speed.
And I don't mean to interrupt you.
I just want to. Those are the facts.
We're going to end and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble. Look at how he steps and look how I step. Watch how I run up ramps and he stumbles down ramps. Okay? Come on.
He's at the Air Force Academy. He actually fell down. Well, I hope he wasn't hurt. But it's the whole thing is crazy. You got to be careful about that. Because you don't want that. Even if you have to tiptoe down a ramp, you got to.
And now I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here, and he is here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick. Fast as well too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure, and then on top of that, the dual kind of law of the inflation bill that is going to make sure that there's going to be bridges all across like this, all across America getting rebuilt.
Of criminal conduct, and yesterday, the FBI finally provided Congress with the goods.
This document also stipulates that, according to the confidential human source, that money was being moved through several accounts, multiple accounts, to get to Joe Biden. And what we're talking about now is the current president of the United States, documented by FBI, has been taking money from foreign sources in a pay-for-play scheme to actually get things enacted in other countries. If he was doing it as vice president, what's he doing as president?
On the same day, the Biden administration said they were going to put Trump in prison. We learned about a document the FBI has been sitting on for years. The allegation in the document says Joe Biden's been selling out our country for cash. Sources tell Fox News Digital that a Ukrainian businessman at Burisma paid Joe Biden $5 million in bribes while he was vice president. What was the bribe for? To fire the prosecutor investigating Burisma. And here's the smoking gun. Burisma emailed Hunter asking for a list of deliverables from high-ranking U.S. officials in Ukraine with the ultimate purpose to close down any cases against Burisma's founder and former president. There it is, laid out as clear as day. Burisma says fire the prosecutor, Biden fires the prosecutor. The informant says Burisma paid Joe Biden $5 million for it. And what do you know? Biden bragged about it.
We're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a got fired.
The Burisma executive even told the informant that he sent the $5 million through a maze of shell companies, so it didn't look like it was going to Joe. That's exactly how the Chinese structured their bribes. Same exact way. Biden's corruption is as real as the pictures on Hunter's laptop, which, by the way, keep on coming by the thousands. Most of them we can't show you, but there's pics of Hunter with hookers, doing drugs, receipts for fancy suits, him driving 175 miles an hour. When does the Biden family's reckless behavior finally catch up with them? How long can this filthy family get away with these sleazy games? They're throwing it in our faces at this point. Are you going to take that, America? Are you going to be represented by this kind of corrupt trash? Are you going to keep being surprised that a plagiarist is lying to you? Congressman James Comer has already shown us that half the Biden family was on the take, banking millions on China's payroll. And now he's subpoenaed only one bank. There's another 10 to go. And now we got this $10 million bribe from the Ukrainians. Biden's taunting us. Well, where did the money go? Buddy, it's in your family's bank accounts. Or it's in a bunch of shell companies we haven't gotten to yet. Biden's like the most reckless man in Washington, and that's saying a lot. He thinks he can just take bribes for years, flaunt the law, punish his enemies, and never get in trouble? Why? Because he thinks you're not going to pay attention. Listen.
One of the things Republicans say is a priority for them is investigating your family, your son Hunter, your brother Jim. They talk about access that they say others have gotten because of you, because of your political success. How do you plan to deal with that?
The public's not going to pay attention to that. They want these guys to do something. If the only thing they can do is make up things about my family, it's not going to go very far.
He can't keep getting away with this. His family can't keep getting away with this. Who's going to stop him? It's not the FBI. It's not the IRS. It's not the U.S. attorney in Delaware who's been slow-walking Hunter's case for 5 years. Trump's case takes, 4 months? Hunter's gone 5 years now, still ticking? It's up to congressional Republicans, but I don't even know if they're going to do it. What are they doing? Well, they saw the smoking gun FBI document yesterday. Are they drafting articles of impeachment? Did they go home for the weekend? The Constitution says it plain and simple. You can impeach a president for high crimes, treason, and bribery.
Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though. Well, I'm not sure you should assume I'm not corrupt, but thank you for that, though.
Oh, do I have some great news. We got phone calls. We got phone calls of Joe Biden with that Ukrainian national. Apparently, this bribery scheme is all caught on tape. Chuck Grassley, the senator from Iowa, laid it out.
That the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. The foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot.
So now the question is, what does all this mean? What does it mean for Joe Biden and the Biden crime family? What does it mean for President Trump? What does it mean for the weaponized Justice Department that ignored all of this? They had the FBI forms that spelled it out for years. They've been covering for the Biden administration. This FBI covering for the Bidens has to end, and it has to end now. Republicans in Congress, get on this, get on it quickly, and let's impeach Joe Biden.
We now have black and white evidence that the FBI interfered in the 2016 election. And then when they failed to get their candidate elected, Hillary Clinton, then they just set out to destroy the Trump administration. So then go up to 2020. It was the CIA this time that got involved in the 2020 election with those 51 former intel agents who talked about the Hunter Biden laptop as total Russian disinformation. So they've gotten away with it for 2 elections. They're for sure going to get away with it, try to get away with it in 24, right? Because there's no consequence. The difference is in 2024, the evidence is there. We now have the Durham investigation. We have all the congressional investigations. There is now hard evidence that there was election interference by the U.S. intelligence agencies and the Department of Justice. They've got to be terrified, those individuals have to be terrified that a Republican president comes in the 2024 election with a Republican attorney general, investigates them and charges them all with the crimes they've committed over the last 8 years.
This is the big immigration number Biden is hiding from you. So the same number of illegal and inadmissible aliens are still entering the U.S. The Biden administration is just diverting over 60,000 per month to a different line. So the inadmissible aliens are following directions. They're going through the ports of entry. And that's why we now see 90,000 inadmissible aliens entering the U.S. through the ports of entry, where we used to see only 20,000 a month. They are literally telling migrants who are about to cross illegally between the ports and claim fear, withdraw your claim, don't cross here, go to a port of entry, use this Mobile One application, and we'll let you in. The Biden administration is doing this because no one looks at the port numbers nationwide. Usually people just look at the Border Patrol numbers. If the Border Patrol encounter numbers are better, that makes the Biden administration look better. But really, it's just lipstick on a pig.
4 more years of Georgia, he's going to find ourselves in a position where...
What a mess. What a mess. No, he called me George. I don't know if I should be insulted or happy about it. Sort of insulted. That's the first time that's happened to me in a long time.
Hey, we gotta get Joe out of office ASAP, yo, man, for real. Gas too high. That's why gas too high. Gas too high. That's why gas too high. Can't fill up my tank. That's why gas too high. Can't fill up my. That's why gas too high. Democrats, they tryna break me, pockets, they looking so vacant, lefties, I know they love Satan, they want me to sell, I come make me, gas is way too expensive, look at the prices, that is offensive. When we had Trump, we didn't have this shit. Get him in office, handling your business, yeah. Gas is almost like $7 a gallon. If you ain't got money, then I guess you walking. You better check your balance. You can blame Joe for the reason why you ain't ballin'. Gas is way too high, my tank on E. Inflation is crazy. Joe, he be spending our money, that shit ain't free, yeah. Gas too high. That's why gas too high. Gas too high. That's why gas too high. Can't fill up my tank. That's why gas too high. Can't fill up my. That's why gas too high.
Your president yesterday ended a speech by saying, "God save the Queen."
God save the Queen, man.
The best thing was the White House tried to spin it. They were like, "Oh yeah, he was just making a joke to someone in the crowd." No, he's just old. He thinks she's still alive. No one had the heart to tell him. They were like, just don't, pretend. But that was our motto for a long time. That was what we chose. We'd be like, God save the Queen. And it didn't work. So because you guys went with God bless America, which is a better motto, isn't it? That covers everyone. And we were just like, no, just keep one little old lady alive. Just long enough that her son never gets to be in charge.
I would easily argue when the president speaks, people listen and want to hear what he has to say.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word:
I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping. Than anything else? You realize that? The point is, we ask so much of you. So much of you. I've not...
This morning, Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to pretty much nothing. Biden pled to 2 misdemeanor tax evasion charges, then entered a diversion on a federal gun charge. That's it. As far as Merrick Garland's Justice Department is concerned, Hunter Biden is done. There was no pre-dawn raid carried live simultaneously on CNN. There was no perp walk, no handcuffs, no press conference. Above all, there was no felony. Hunter Biden, who broke federal gun laws, can still carry a gun. It's like it all never happened. In fact, the Justice Department just baptized Hunter Biden. A lifetime of sins washed away in an instant. It was a secular miracle.
$1.2 million in tax evasion and you plead to 2 misdemeanors? Give me a break. That's a flat out joke. Go ask Wesley Snipes and some of the other people that have served jail time for tax evasion. And don't even get me started on the gun charge. Kodak Black and other people, they got sent to jail for 2 and 3 years for a similar situation. It looks like he's going to take a walk. This is the 2-tier system of justice in our country, which is disgusting. And what everybody really wants in our country is just apply the law evenly.
Fairness.
Doesn't matter if you're Hunter Biden or if your name is Hillary Clinton. Just be consistent.
You saw something we didn't see, and that's that Form 1023. What can you tell us from having been on the Oversight Committee, which has now become maybe the most important committee in Congress? What is it that you saw that makes you think there's something here?
It's very clear that the confidential human source has direct interactions with several people in the orbit of the Burisma executive, contact, whoever, and that has very granular details. The first detail is that the Burisma exec or Burisma person, they refer to Hunter Biden as an idiot several times. They say he's stupid, but we have to have him in because he's the conduit to Joe Biden. They say in the document that there was a reference of, I think the confidential human source goes, well, maybe you should stay away from the Bidens. Maybe you should go somewhere else. Okay, go somewhere else. Go do it another different way. And then Burisma exec's like, no, this is the best way we think to do it. The money essentially has already gone. And that it's moving through several accounts that would take investigators 10 years to find out how it got to Joe Biden. At the end of the day, it's a pay-for-play scheme because they needed Joe Biden in his position as then vice president to put pressure on the Ukrainian government to fire the prosecutor that was looking into Burisma.
I've been looking for pro-Biden reels so I can check out the comment section. Surely someone out there is making affirmative content about the most popular president in US history. At least one of the 81 million voters surely has to be making something. So I thought, it's difficult to find. Countless videos of him falling on both his feet and his words, and most recently, him copying a feel of Evan Longoria. Almost all the clips I did find are from the White House or federal government and has almost 0 views and engagement. And I had to dig deep just to find this. Every time I post a video just mentioning Trump, I get hit from both sides. Tons of comments in support of Trump and a flood of comments of pure hatred for the orange boogeyman. I wanted to know if Biden real comments were the same. So I searched and searched and searched. He is so incredibly unpopular that of the 81 million voters, no one is making any content to support him. Can you believe that? They'll all chime in to say Orange Man bad, but no one even mentions Joe Biden's name. I did find a lot of Let's Go Brandon though.
This is not about Donald Trump. This is about an entire movement. You know, Hillary Clinton had 33,000 government records, including classified information, at a homebrewed server, and when subpoenaed, she destroyed evidence with hammers, BleachBit, wiped computer servers. Not charged. Jim Comey, fired FBI Director Jim Comey. Leaks, privileged and classified information, not charged. Joe Biden, classified documents everywhere, including his garage next to Hunter in the Corvette. Not charged so far, but come on. This is all about getting a man who leads a movement, and they're coming after all of us next.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $1/4 of $1, we passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Under our forfeiture statutes, the government can, take everything you own. Everything from your car to your house, your bank account, not merely what they confiscate in terms of the dollars from the transaction that you've just got caught engaging in. They can take everything. I don't care why they've become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. They are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
It's not our enemy.
I believe then, and I'm even more convinced now, that a rising China is an incredibly positive development for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. China is a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion. We want to see China rise. A rising China can be a significant asset for the region and the world. China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not they're competition for us. China's not our problem. We can help them with some of their problems. China's not a problem. The idea that China is going to eat our lunch is bizarre. And so, what are we worried about? We talk about China as our competitor. We should be helping.
Do you think, in retrospect, that you were naive about China?
No. What a beautiful history we wrote together.
Thank you for that. Hypothetically speaking, and this is for any of the panelists that would like to answer, if someone were to fail paying $100,000 in taxes and own a firearm when they're a known drug user, would that person serve time in prison?
Having prosecuted hundreds of those cases, I'm not aware of any instance in which a diversion would be granted under DOJ policy, and I reviewed several thousand similar cases and did not see diversion as an available option from DOJ, and each one served on average of 39 months in prison.
Set up a foundation in Ukraine before Ukraine became independent of Russia. And the foundation has been functioning ever since. There is one person who was very deeply involved in Ukraine, and that's Biden. He had a lot more patience than I had in trying to convert Poroshenko into a democratic leader.
But the opportunity to generate a united Ukraine, getting it right is within your grasp, and we want to be your partner, your friend in the project. We want to, and we're ready to assist.
We're also asking Congress to act promptly to deliver on an aid package, including a $1 billion loan guarantee that can help smooth the path for reform inside of Ukraine and give the Prime Minister and his government the capacity to do what they need to do as they are all.
We cannot get reelect. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
Mr. Trump?
Humble.
Let's go over some of the findings from the Durham report. Neither the U.S. nor the intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, indicating that at any time during the campaign, anyone in Trump world and his campaign had been in contact with any Russian intelligence officials. That's directly from the report. You see, the Crossfire Hurricane investigators did not and could not verify any substantive allegations in the so-called Steele dossier. Also from Greg Price on Twitter, according to the Durham report, the plan by Hillary Clinton to create a false story linking Donald Trump to Russia was briefed in August of 2016, keep that date in mind, by then CIA Director John Brennan to President Obama, Vice President Biden, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and FBI Director Comey. So they all knew it was fake political garbage, a dirty smear job on Donald Trump. And that includes the man currently living in the White House, a thoroughly dishonest man who got where he is by blatantly lying again and again.
Last month, a whistleblower brought to light the existence in the FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme. Is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations.
Do you owe an obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations. There are 17 recordings of this informant from Burisma, Ukrainian natural gas company. 15 of them are recordings, voice recordings of him talking to Hunter Biden. 2 of them are voice recordings of him talking to Joe Biden, Deputy Director Abate. Does the FBI have 17 voice recordings laying out evidence of a bribery scheme?
Senator, I would add also that we've worked with the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, this is the Senate. We're the other side of the Capitol. And to be clear, if the allegations are false, you know who could disprove them? Joe Biden. So you have a 1023. Do you have the 17 recordings? Yes or no?
I'm not going to get further into that.
Why have you not heard anything about what I'm going to show you? So in February 2014, this becomes the new president, total upheaval. They have no money. They're completely broke. And here comes the United States of America. In March of that year, President Obama says, we're from the United States government, and we're here to help. So he decides, you know who you need? You know who you can need, because you're very corrupt. This is a very corrupt place, and it is. And we're going to help you, and we got lots of money. We can print it, whatever we want. So we got lots of money. But we've done this before, and we did it with TARP, and we spent all kinds of money. But we wanted to make sure that all of that reinvestment in America was clean, no corruption. And so we put Joe Biden in charge. So Joe is going to be the new point man in Ukraine. Okay, so then
your take on what has been unveiled here.
Yeah, so we've been going through interviews. I sit on the Weaponization Committee, and we've been interviewing these individuals, some of which we've been deposing because they wouldn't come in voluntarily. And we now have testimony, evidence that the Biden campaign used the CIA to get people to sign on to this letter because they wanted to try to subvert from the facts of what was going on Hunter Biden's laptop. And the Biden campaign thought if we had a number of different intelligence community people sign on to a letter that this is classic Russian disinformation, that Biden could use that in the debate. And that's exactly what happened. You have a scenario where the active government, the CIA, was working for the Biden campaign at the time to try to subvert what was actually happening.
To your justice system. That's exactly what's happened. Listen, I've read the Durham report. I've read this FBI 1023 form about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And now you see in this documents case, I've had a chance to look at this indictment. And it is crystal clear to me that if you're a Republican who basically stands tough against the radical left agenda, they're going to do everything they can to take you out. That's really what this is about. Hillary Clinton destroyed emails that were subpoenaed by Congress. She destroyed them. And then the only reason why people found out that she had classified emails is because they showed up on the computer of Anthony Weiner when he was being investigated for child pornography. And that's how they found her emails. Joe Biden took classified documents when he was a United States senator, when he was a vice president. They were found in his garage, found at his office, all these places that they should not have been. Donald Trump is a former president of the United States. The former presidents take information with them. They have an ability to declassify, which nobody else has. And they are the executive branch when they are commander in chief. If you're now going to prosecute a former president over something like this, where is the indictment on Hillary Clinton? Where is the special counsel on Joe Biden? Because that special counsel seems to be taking his time while Jack Smith is a man berserk.
Indicting Donald Trump at a moment when we know more and more and more about just how corrupt the Bidens are and the Biden team is simply going to increase the anger of the millions of Americans who already believe that the Durham report's right, that the FBI was corrupted, that the intelligence community was corrupted, that the current Attorney General is corrupt, certainly that the current Secretary of State, who is getting a lot of money from the University of Pennsylvania, probably from the Chinese, but we don't know because it's all secret. I mean, all this is going to do is just strengthen the notion that to be against Donald Trump in the Republican primary is to help the left.
This story has been overshadowed by the Trump indictment, but Representative James Comer says there may be more than just one FBI document pointing to Joe Biden taking bribes. During an interview Sunday, Comer criticized the FBI, saying oversight Republicans were granted access to the document alleging Biden took bribes as vice president only after Republicans said they would hold the FBI director in contempt. Comer claims the allegations related to that document, the FD 1023, may exist beyond a single form, and there's a lack of curiosity among the media. Comer claims the Biden family apparently established more than 20 shell companies to launder money from foreign nationals. He states the money was distributed among 9 different family members. Biden has notably laughed off these allegations about him taking a multi-million-dollar bribe from a Ukrainian energy company, Burisma, when he was VP, calling it a bunch of malarkey and asking, where's the money?
Stole those documents. You want to see just how clean the Biden family is, how uncorrupt they are? How about this text message to Henry Zhao, who is a Chinese Communist Party official? This is Hunter Biden texting a CCP official. I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me, Joe Biden, and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. That is a text message from the IRS agents that investigated Hunter Biden for 5 years. And this story is nowhere else to be found. Nobody will
There was a Harvard-Harris poll this month that found that 53% of the public, including a fourth of Democrats, believe, quote, Joe Biden was involved with his son in an illegal influence peddling scheme. There's, of course, evidence that the president interacted with his relatives, associates from China, Mexico, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine. So what do you say to the majority of Americans who believe that the president is himself corrupt?
The president has spoken to this. The president has spoken to this, and there's nothing to these claims.
Biden is the most corrupt president in the history of our country by far. Just 2 days ago, a very respected IRS whistleblower revealed that Crooked Joe sat in a room while his son Hunter messaged a Chinese Communist Party official and said to this Chinese Party official, I quote, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. This is Cash he's talking about. Yeah. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand. And now means right now. It means tonight. You believe this? I didn't know he was that tough. And if I get a call or a text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me, my father, right next to me, Pop, hi Pop, and every person he knows, you will regret not following my direction. Within 10 days, the Bidens got $5.1 million from China for absolutely no reason. They got $5.1 million. And that's probably why maybe he's not complaining about the fact that they're building military bases in Cuba. Maybe that's the reason, I guess. Mike, what do you think?
I was just thinking, anyway, I started off without you. And I sold a lot of state secrets and a lot of very important things that we shared.
Let me get this straight. The FBI was withholding from congressional oversight a document showing that during the Obama administration, Biden accepted a $10 million bribe through his son Hunter to force the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor that was investigating corruption, an event that Donald Trump looked into, sparking the first impeachment and forcing the arming of Ukraine, in turn setting the stage for the current war against Russia. Evidence of the bribe was also in Hunter Biden's laptop, which the FBI also had, but that they swore was Russian disinformation and infiltrated social media to censor during the 2020 campaign, all while the FBI investigates Trump for having classified documents, despite the FBI admittedly letting Hillary Clinton off for a similar charge in 2016 when they were simultaneously launching the Russiagate investigation into Donald Trump using falsified evidence provided by the Clinton campaign. Do I have that all straight?
So let's look at some of the leaders throughout history who have had their political opponents arrested. There was Mussolini. Let's not forget Joseph Stalin. Of course, he had Dr. Evil himself, Adolf Hitler. Who could forget Mao Zedong? And of course, we have the most corrupt U.S. president in history, Joe Biden. Yes, there were many more of these so-called leaders who went against the will of the people, but these are the most infamous ones. Oh, and if you're a fact checker, yes, it's Biden's DOJ that's going after Trump, but we all know what's really going on, don't we? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.